Hi, Team Flyer. How are you? We are back with Motivational Mondays, and I'm so excited. I always love the series. I really, really do. I'm having so much fun talking to Cassandra, who's always here. Hola, Cassandra.
Hola, Ariadna. ¿Cómo está usted?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Muy bien, yeah.
I just
And English.
English again. Back to English. It's not an English lesson. No, I'm very, very thankful to be doing so many motivational Mondays in a row with you because it's just so much fun. And I love the comments that we get, the feedback. People have been resharing it and commenting and picking up our quotes here and there, and I love seeing all that. So yeah, this is good vibes Monday and the whole week, basically. Great place to start.
I also love it because then we kind of have an idea and we set ourselves off at the right foot. I really like that about this series.
Me too, me too. So definitely in this time around, there's no small chat. Right now we're gonna just go dive into it. So what's our today's quote? Let's find out, because it's my turn to say it. All right, so pretty quick and easy. Comparison is the death of joy by Mark Twain.
Easier said than done. I'll start there. In the age of digital media, of social media, of Photoshop, of all the things that can be done, I think that's where I'll start. So, you always see the magazine covers, you always see the Instagram photos, the photo shoots, everyone dolled up to the nines, all the hair and makeup done. But actually, it was through the quarantine that I think or at least for me, I saw a lot of different celebrities that were just on their Instagram stories or feeds, and they were just regular people just like us, without all the glam, without the makeup, in the comfort of their own home, wearing sweatpants. And I think that's where we should start. I mean, if you idolize a celebrity and love them, and we all do, and we all think they're beautiful and amazing, they're just as amazing as just regular normal people. Remember that. Ariadna, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. I was muted for 2 seconds there.
I saw you talking, but I couldn't hear anything.
I was like, whoops. This is perfect. I love this very, very much because it's right at the beginning when I started the podcast in general, just kind of jumping into it. People are telling me, oh, you should edit things out. What about those small pauses? What about those small mistakes? That's people are not going to listen to that. And I'm like, I want to be truthful to who I am. I mean, if there's a huge gap or a huge something, then fine, I guess. But, I'm a person. I'm also figuring this out. I feel like we're always going to be figuring it out. I'm also learning alongside with you. And also, anywhere that you find me in any of my platforms, I always try to be very myself. I have my mistakes. I confuse Spanish and English various times. I forget words. I insert words that aren't really words, so I make my own words up, so on and so forth. So something like that, for example, I'm not ashamed of it because I'm I have to embrace those moments, because much like we've talked about in previous episodes for Motivational Monday, you are learning as you go. And that kind of ties into what I was saying when I was muted, was that celebrities are real people. They're just like you and me. Throughout quarantine, like you said, a lot of these celebrities, and these are not they don't feel like Jennifer Aniston or Eva Longoria or things like that. These are people that also have a whole bunch of following and are actors as well. They're shooting their new IG stories, or not even IG stories, but IG TVs or YouTubes in their freaking bathroom. There's no other place. And you start wherever you can, basically. And that's the beauty behind the quarantine. That's the beauty behind what's happening this year, because you got to look at positives to see that. And I feel like even if I started being myself since always, basically before this whole quarantine happened, the world needs to know that. The world needs to see more of that. I surround myself, my feed is definitely not only the feed that you guys see, just the feed, my personal feed, what I see is motivational people. There's a lot of like body positive movement right there. A lot of, like you said about Photoshop, not only Photoshop, but like photography. So like you see these models and they're doing they're the exact same person, just a few seconds apart. And it depends on the angle. One of them is like super slim and you're like, oh my God, I want that. And the other one has a little bit of chub and they're like, this is the same person. These are just seconds apart. Can we just normalize bodies that we all have this? It's just everything we see is usually because of photographer or designer or whatever. It's like, oh, pose this way. And they're like really awkward poses. So it's all that basically, all thrown into one box. What I was trying to
Poses
say.
that look so light and fun and airy.
Exactly. You're like, no, you don't want to sit that way. That's not comfortable, boo. You know? Comparison is a thief of joy without a doubt, no matter what part of life, not only in physical beauty that I know we already did a podcast on that a little bit, touching like makeup and stuff like that. But also in general in life is not a competition. It's community over competition. It's collaboration over competition. You don't have to be married at 35, 25, 45. You don't have to be married, period. You don't have to have kids, period. It's your life, your way, your rules, and whatever happens with your life that's where you're meant to be. um it's like you said, sounds easier said than done. But it starts from within. It starts knowing who you are and what you want to do with your life. I guess that's where I can start there, but you continue. You say something, Cassandra.
What I wanted to bring myself back to was when I started travel blogging. That was, I got into it at 2008, but I didn't do it until like maybe 2013, 2014. And it was so easy to see all the other travel bloggers and see what they were doing and where they were in the world. And when it comes to travel, that is what makes me the most, I guess, jealous or comparison, where I do the most comparisons, because I just want to be out there doing all the things as well. And I attended a couple of travel blogging conferences while I was living in Europe. One was in Athens, Greece, and the other one was in Costa Brava, Spain. And when I actually got there, I made a ton of friends, people I still talk to today, people that I still enjoy following and love to read their stuff. But there was also that other aspect of that travel blogging world where there was kind of like, oh, here's all the people that have the most monetary funding out of their blog and they have the most followers. But then, like, when you actually saw them there doing their thing, they didn't seem to be happy at all, or they were just so in it for the likes. And I mean, there's different ways to look at it, because maybe that's not every aspect, but that's definitely what it does become whenever all you're trying to do is chasing the followers, chasing the likes on social media. And it becomes hard to like get out of your head too. And then I also would move that to, yes, I definitely drove to South America, but you didn't see like some of the rashes that I was getting on my arms from bacterial infections, and bug bites. Like I had a lot of problems. Like my friend brought me some healing clay when she came and I met her in Costa Rica, and some essential oils, because my skin was like getting so irritated by bug bites and by the heat, and I was getting rashes. And there's definitely every side to a coin, I think. And you know, that was a little bit non-glamorous. Or if I had to go to the bathroom in the woods because I didn't have a bathroom with me in my car, there's just like a lot that goes on. And although that trip was still very epic, there's also like, don't make a comparison of it, because if you want to go do it, then it's just your time to go do it, and you don't have to worry about what I did. You got to get out there and do what you did. The same as the travel blogging world. It's the people who are being unique instead of just writing the same posts all the time that were getting all the follows, because people are like, yeah, okay, we went to Paris, we've been to Paris, tell us something else other than stand underneath the Eiffel Tower at night. You know what I mean?
I completely agree, as always, with you, to be honest, because it's so easy to fall into that trap because you just see everyone's highlights. You don't see anybody's, pain behind the pain. Because it's always going to be that. It's always going to, like what I said about, these celebrities going from or talking from their kitchen or their bathroom or whatever. I start life like, I'm not ashamed. I'm literally always recording on top of my bed. And I've talked to like Natalie Kelly and Jessica Garcia and like all these really famous people from the top of my bed where I started my business, basically. Why? Because life, hun, life. Like, if I didn't start now, when there's no perfect time to start, and I really want to start. Point being to this, that's what is behind the scenes, that hardship and that hard work, and that's what I always try to stay really true to. A lot of times when I like disappear from offline, I'm either doing TLC or I'm doing like a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of recordings, a lot of, preparing material and all these sorts of things. And I'm like, this is what goes into it, not just like a glorious feed. And not only, my feed, of course, my line of business, but also like travel bloggers, like you were saying. I always give a shout out to Helene in between, which will definitely, of course, as always, tag everybody down below. Because she's very real what she says. She's also a travel blogger. She has a bunch of likes, a bunch of courses, a bunch of everything, but she's very real. She's like, everything I'm going to do it because I want to, and not just because I have to follow a certain niche or a certain way and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, what I love about this particular quote and this particular message that we always try to tell everyone once again is that you got to find your own path. I want to name drop another name. Sorry to name drop, but Elizabeth Acevedo, the author of The Poet X and Clap When You Land and With the Fire on High, we interviewed her for Latina, and what she said kind of stuck with me since we recorded that episode, which is like, everyone has their own blueprint. Because everyone always asks her, like, oh my God, how did you do it? And how did you become famous? And how did you publish your book? And you're like, I can tell you some of my aspects, but this is your blueprint of your path, without a doubt. So my two takes, once again, before I let Cassandra continue a little bit more, is on one hand, please remember there's always what's happening behind the scenes. It's not going to glamorous. Not everything in life is glamorous by any means. So if you want to put the hard work in, then go for it, but don't compare yourself what it means, because the second part is you have your own blueprint, and that's sacred to you, and that's like unique to you.
And I would add, once I started realizing that I was comparing
Comparing?
Comparing. What was that? Oh my gosh.
I'm rubbing off on you.
I was like, couldn't get it out of my mouth.
But you also know more than one language. So these are props to people who know more than one language. This is what happens.
When I was comparing myself to others and I really realized that I was doing that, it was like, as soon as I shut that down and got out of my head, that's when I did my best work. And I don't, for me, blogging is not my job. So I can do it as a hobby, just at a whim. I can take a break, which I haven't written on my blog for a long time recently. But when I realized that I had impacted one person to actually join the military and they accredited me for reading my blog and reading my stories, I found all the satisfaction I needed from it. I don't need to have a million people where I can't interact with people and there's just so many people. I mean, that's always a plus if you do have like a huge following, but it wasn't that for me. It was like that I impacted one person out in the world to make a decision based on what I had written on those words. And I think that's where you have to start, is really look at kind of like what you're doing. And yeah, there's tons of people out there, they've all done it, but what sets you apart and what makes you unique, and whatever it is, roll with that. That's where you have to stay, in that lane where no one else is, so that way you can't compare to anyone.
I adore that so much. I feel like another really quick example before we finish this up is learn from your mistakes, but allow mistakes to happen, like our pronunciation mistake. Well, my pronunciation mistakes, but our lack of vocabulary sometimes, for example. And my last example, people do love, and if you've been following me for a while, you already know this story, but I interviewed Mama B twice this year, and I love Rosana Burgos from the AB family. And we recorded one for Mother's Day. So go check that one out. And then we recorded one that came out July 31st. So she was my special guest of that month, right? I forgot which one it is, to be honest. But I do say at the beginning of the recording, I was interviewing her. We were 45 minutes in, and I didn't press record. I know, because on this face, just like, oh my God. I know. And this is like really, like, both of them are really long. They're really special episodes and whatnot. It is, if you know the AB family, you know all the, if you know Rosana Burgos, like, props to you as well, because she's a humongous activist, humanitarian, whatnot. So it was really special for me to have her on. She was like one of my big, my very first big special guest, basically. And I was like, once again, 45 minutes in. And I'm like, oh my God, how do I tell her that, like, I didn't press record? But I did it anyway. She was in the middle of a sentence. I'm like, I had to cut her off. And I was like, I'm so sorry. She started laughing like crazy. Not at me, but just at the situation. She's like, oh, honey, it happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. And if you know this family, they're like huge YouTubers. They started as Viners. That's their whole business. Their son is like into gaming. Their daughter's a singer now. All these sorts of things. And they're like, honey, the only times that we started recording something for 10 minutes and like literally done our skits around the house or around like everything. And like we got home and there was no sound. Like, do not worry whatsoever. Like, you're fine. Just accept, laugh it off, and like move on. So stuff like that, like, really do not compare your day 1 to someone's day 5,000. But even if that person's in their day 5,000, seriously, like, we all make mistakes, we learn from them, and we move on. Like, there you go. Just, and like what Cassandra said, the moment you stop comparing yourself is when you have the most fun. And this is why I'm always going to try to be, as much as I can, as much as the business lets me, and as much as I remember, to make sure I'm grounded, to have fun with what I do. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm a human being. I know too late, which is not an excuse. It's a superpower. It's bound to happen. And if you know me, then this is what you get.
And the last thing that I would say with this, aside from just read that quote to yourself 20 times and then sit there in silence for 10 minutes and really think about it. When I first moved to Hawaii, my friend Liv, she was like, hey, there's a race going on at the Marine base, and it was a 500 yard swim out in the bay in Kaneohe Bay, and then you had to do a 3-mile run, so a 5K. And there was like 25 people competing, so not a ton of people. And she convinced me to sign up. It was like my first week on the island, and we went out to it started at like an aircraft hangar on the base. And I did really well in the swimming, but I have swam my whole life. And I came in last place. I literally, like, on the run, I got passed by every human. I got to there was a huge hill that I had to go up and then come back down. And I just realized in that moment, I was like, but I'm out here, and I woke up at 5 a.m. and I'm doing this for myself. And Liv finished, she's a badass female that I just love so much. And she ran back to run the last half a mile with me because that's how far back I was. And
That's so sweet.
And I'm okay with it because I got up that morning, I did this crazy workout, I swam in the bay. There was just it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people. I saw someone I hadn't seen in a long time that I was stationed with in Naples, Italy, and I saw his wife, and it was just like such a good day. And even coming in last place, it was okay. And I was just like, and literally, I think everyone got a medal except last place. So, so I'm just saying, I think just do it for yourself. Get out there, do that 5K. And if you're coming in last place, you just got up and did it. And there's people who are sitting on their couch right now that didn't get up. So that's all you have to remember.
Exactly. Oh, this is the reason why I love Motivational Mondays with you, and just in general. this kind of like, it's a great start of the week. It's great start, great vibe. So I appreciate you very much. And as always, can you repeat our quote one more time?
Comparison is the death of joy by Mark Twain.
Thank you very much. And as for the rest of your Team Flyer, comment down below. You know where to find us in our IG specifically, and also on Facebook, but mainly IG, because we know that's the main place where we're hearing. And yeah, just let us know what you thinks, what you thoughts, what is going on in your beautiful mind of yours, and we'll talk really soon. Bye, Team Flyer.
Peace out.